Hi, hello, it's Pip here from queenpipcards.com. Thanks ever so much for tuning in today. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this really simple Z-fold card with the Above the Clouds stamp set, some of the lovely bird ballad paper, because it just speaks to me of skies. And we're going to swap out some of this ribbon and trim and do something different. This actually uses the Stitched Shapes die to do this circle, and I wanted to show you how you could do it if you didn't have a Big Shot or a die cutting machine at home. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to cut your cardstock in half like this. So rather than, if this was a normal piece of A4, normally people cut their cardstock down this way so that then they have a book fold that they can close and make two cards out of it. This way you can still make two cards, but you'll make two cards that are long cards. So either you can score at the middle, just fold them in half, which I do for my tent fold cards, or you can turn them round and turn them into a Z fold. So I'm bringing in my trimmer and we're going to do a bit of scoring. I've already cut these in half. So basically you put the short edge of your A4 piece of paper to the top of your trimmer and you cut it at 10.5 centimetres. Okay, and that gives you two halves. Then you're going to go back in, pop your cardstock back in, and you're going to score it at 14.8.5 or 14.9. I generally use 9, it's easier. Okay, so you're going to score that. Now if you fold that in half, that gives you, as I say, a half a card, okay, or a card that just is a normal card. Stand it up like that, or you could open it like this. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to create a Z. So you need to score this front piece in half again. So that's about 7.8. So we go back in, not 7.8, 7.4. There we go. Go into 7.4 centimetres and score that again. Okay. And then you're going to turn this piece that you've just scored back on itself. And that gives you your lovely Z. See, when it's up like that, it looks like a Z. Well, up like that, it looks like a Z. But yes, so that's how you're going to make your card base. And then the rest of it is really just matting and layering on top of that. But we'll go through it all. The first thing I would always say is let's burnish those score lines. So get your bone folder out, give them a good old burnish, especially the ones that are folding like back on themselves. You need to make sure that they're nice and crisp so that they do actually fold back. There we go. There we go. That now stands nicely. So then I've pre-cut my card pieces because you don't need to see me cutting card. You've seen me cutting card lots of times before. Okay, so this is a normal 14.4 by 10 centimetres. Okay, and then this one I've cut to 7 centimetres by 10. So the height is the same for both. And then I've cut a piece from the nice pink flowery swallow page out of Bird Ballad, and I've just cut that to 5 centimetres and 10 again, so it goes all the way down the length of this piece of Whisper White cardstock. But before I put that on or do anything else, I'm going to stamp my balloons and my clouds. So the Above the Clouds stamp set is great because it's got these 3 balloons here and these 3 clouds here, and they're all on one stamp set, so there's no faffing with having to stamp individual clouds and balloons. You know, if you wanted to, you could, but you don't have to. So as you can see, we've played with this quite a lot over the weekend. This was one of the cards we did at my launch class. So we need those. And the good thing is that you get the outline and then you get the infill. So you have the outline and then you have the infill, which is going to put the colour. And then we have the clouds. Okay, so we'll do that for the first bit. I will just get my balloon out because we'll use that next. And let your dreams soar. Let your life is a beautiful ride. Oh, I ran the wrong way. There we go. That's that. Good, okay. So you will need some spare Whisper White cardstock to do some of the stamping on. We'll get to that in a moment. But first I'm going to bring in a piece of the grid paper because I am going to be stamping off. I don't want to get it all over my table. So please, I apologise for the squiggly lines that might do your eyes in a minute. Okay. Now, if you don't have lots of different blocks, you can always put them on different sizes like this. So hang on a second. Okay, so the three colours that we're going to use today is Petal Pink, Pool Party and Memento. So really simple, just a 3 colourway design. And the first thing I do is I go in and do my balloons, because once the balloons are on, then you can kind of see where to put the clouds. So we're going to just ink that up. Oh, I've stuck a balloon to it. Go over there. Don't need you yet. You stay on there. They get everywhere, these photopolymer things. You really have to be careful where they are. Okay, so we're just going to go in and place our balloons pretty much anywhere. I started in the middle. Obviously you want them a little bit high. You don't want them down on the ground because they are lifting up. And you'll have some that stamp over, that's okay. And then you can come in and do another lot here. Oops, like that. There we go. So there's my balloons. And I'm just going to let those dry for a moment while I do my clouds. And then I'll go back in and do the overstamping of the balloons. So clouds. Now these clouds are great because you can actually turn them around and they're still the right way up. So for example, if you want to get in there, you can't quite get in there, you could turn it over this way and then you can get in there very easily. Isn't that cool? And then these can go in here and then turn it over again to go in here. Oh, these ones are a bit close. I wonder if it would be better that way. I'm going to try this. No, I think we're better the other way around. Just depends on where you've popped your balloons. And if in doubt, you could always mask one of them off if you thought you were going to get a bit close to it. There we go. But we can pop some clouds in there. So it looks like they're in the clouds, even though we've actually got none in the middle. There we go. There, so it's just like just a swathe of balloons and clouds really, and I don't even know that I want to do any down here or up here. I like the white space around it, so we'll leave it like that for the moment. But before you put your ink pad away, we're just going to bring this little puppy in, and we're just going to do some clouds up here. Now most of these are going to be unseen because they'll be stuck behind the balloon and or the paper, but it's just nice to have them so that you know they're there, and you know, the ones that'll show will show and the ones that won't, so that's fine. Okay, but you're not really sure at this point until you've done that which way they'll go. So I'm just going to clear this away. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to overstamp the balloons. So you need your Petal Pink and you need this stamp set, which is the solid balloons. Just gently tap down, don't need any excess ink, and then you go back in and you find the design that was the starting point, because that's the ones where the balloons are all three together. Okay, and then you just overstamp, and if you're not quite 100%, it doesn't matter because it's close enough that the eye will fill in the rest, if you know what I mean. I mean, I haven't been 100% on all of them. Oops. Basically, the closer you can get to the paper before you actually put it down, the easier it is to see through. But there we go, I'm quite happy with that. Very happy with that. So there's my balloons all ready to go into my card. And now I'll tidy away for the next bit. So the next bit we're going to do is very simple. We're just going to do exactly the same but in a larger fashion with the bigger balloon. And what I really like about this is that they actually have two designs, but they have left enough room in this balloon that if you wanted to, you could actually pop the sentiment in the centre. So there's enough space in there to actually put the sentiments, but we're not going to do that for this particular one. We are going to just fill in the centre. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to do the fill in. So again, petal pink, and we're using this stamp, and I've brought my foam mat out because it's photopolymer and because it has this watercolour look. You need to make sure that you use a foam pad or the pierce mat so that you don't get patches where they're not supposed to be. There are supposed to be patches at the top and to one side of your balloon, but they're not supposed to be anywhere else. So use a foam pad, make sure it gets soaked in nicely, lift, and you'll see here there's patches. That's exactly as it's supposed to be, okay, and as that dries it'll look better. But what I've decided to do is change it up a little bit and put a banner across the top. So in the stamp set you get these little banners like bunting, that's the word I was looking for. So we're going to pop the bunting across. So this is great if you don't like those patches in the middle because you can hide them with a bit of additional colour. I'm just going to go back in and do them in petal pink because that'll just add a little bit of extra tone, sort of tone on tone, but it won't take away from the balloon, as it were. It won't try and add a different colour, which would look weird. See? So we just get that darker patch that's going across there. So I really like how that's come out. So now comes the punching. So we have the new balloon builder punch. Okay, it cuts the balloon shape, it also cuts out the little basket, and it cuts out the pennant. Now that pennant is bigger than these pennants, but it's great if you want to put something in, you know, if you want to do them in different coloured cardstock, for example. This would work perfectly for that. This basket is in a very strange place in this whole punch. I think it would have been better if it was on this side, but that's just me working from right to left. So when you punch this out, I would punch and then stamp the little basket if you're using a basket. We're not using a basket today, so I don't need to worry. Or if you have the Stamparatus, it lines up beautifully. You just get a piece of cardstock that you've already punched, like this one. Okay, so I would then put this on my Stamparatus, line my stamps up, put my plate down, and you've got perfect. And then you can just punch them out straight away. There we go. So it's cut off the little squiggly lines, but that's okay because it still looks good like that. So that's our balloon done. Next we're going to do the wording because we need to get that sorted. Otherwise we'll have no words. And I've just realised I haven't got any petal pink cardstock with me. Where's that gone? I'll have to find that. So I'll put this down here. Life is a beautiful ride. And as I said, this time I'm not going to use my Big Shot to die cut that out. I've decided instead I'm going to use the 1 3/8 scalloped circle punch and cut that out like that because it should fit perfectly. Look at that. Isn't that lovely? It's going to look nice. And then using the 1 1/2 inch circle punch, and we've now got my petal pink scraps. Here we go. I always use, make sure that you keep all your long bits and pieces like this because they just come to be great scrap pieces. So there we go. And that fits onto there and leaves that beautiful little border. So it's similar to the other card that I made with the die cut. It's no less pretty with that. We'll pop it up on dimensionals again so it will look nice It's just if you don't have a die cutting machine, you know, you feel like you can't make some of these cards that I make, and that's not necessarily true. We just have to change things up a little bit to help with the pieces that you don't have. So now we're going to be putting it all together. There we go, so we get everything out of the way. And again, I'm changing it up now, and I'm going to use the petal pink ribbon that goes with the Bird Ballad Suite. It's, oh no, it doesn't. Which one does this go with? I don't know, but it's beautiful. And it's got this, I don't know if you can see that, but it's got this lovely sort of stripe running through the organza that's in the middle. It's very pretty, and it's quite lightweight, which we like for cards. It is slightly bigger than the one I used before, so I'm not going to be putting on the gemstones because I think the ribbon has enough zhing to make this pretty. So we'll just do that. We'll use my snail. Next snail, here we go. Just put a piece of snail on both sides, and then I always stick one side down firmly so that then I've got something to look at with the other side, so I know that I'm straight. Although normally I use my grid paper, but you can do it by eye if you're lucky that your eyes don't go funny. Mine's gone a bit funny. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh, astigmatism is such a lovely thing. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach my paper. So just use some glue. Doobie-doo. Oh, sorry, singing again. Let's stop that bit. And on the other card I went right to the edge, but I quite like the idea of leaving just a little tiny slither of white showing behind that paper. And sometimes you'll notice that your trimmer will cut your cardstock and your paper differently. It's just due to the weight of the cardstock and the paper, so sometimes I need to just where I've put it, might be my eye when I put it into the trimmer, so I just trim that bit off. Now we're going to wrap some ribbon around this. So we want it to match the other side. So this is the trickiest bit, because you want it to match where this is. So it's roughly squeeze it till it sticks. There we go, and then across. And the good thing about snail is that you've got a second chance. So if it's not quite right when you pop it down, well, it's not bad, is it? That's close as damn it, I think. Maybe just bring it down a smidge. But if you haven't got it quite right, you can actually move it because you have that wiggle room with snail, because you can lift it off and re-stick. Well, you don't have that with, say, red tape. Well, you could, but it would probably damage your ribbon. Okay, so now we know that those are pretty much in the same place when they're on. Look at that, lovely. Now we can start assembling our card. So now I'm going to go back over here, this time with my wet glue. Okay, and I go over the ribbon to make sure that the ribbon has some glue above it and underneath it. Put a squiggle in the middle of that. There we go. And then that, whoops, she gets it all over her fingers. That's going to go on the inside piece of your card. So get that sorted. And then when you close that over, you can now line up this piece. So again, we're going to glue that. Okay. So it looks a complicated card, and it's a bit of a wow, you know, when people have it on the mantelpiece, but actually it's quite simple for you to make. And you know, that's what we want, isn't it? We want cards that look like they take forever, but actually they only take half an hour. So there we go, if that, once you get your eye in. Okay, so now we're going to put the sentiment together, and I am going to put these up on dimensionals because I think it needs a little bit of lift for the sentiment. Put that one there, and that one there. Yeah, that's okay. Do this. And then I'm going to pop the second bit. So this is, again, this is a card that is quite thick when you put it together, because it does bounce up. So in terms of postage, just be aware of that, especially if you add layers like I am. But I think the layers are going to make a difference. I think they make it just, you know, pop that extra bit. So bring these in here. I put one in the middle just to make sure it's secure, because this is going over the ribbon, so we need to make sure that it has enough sticky to stick over the ribbon and over the card. There we go. Life is a beautiful ride. It sure is. There we go. Stick that on there like that. Now your balloon, wherever it's gone, there we go. Your balloon is going to hang sort of over the edge. Okay, so we want it just a little bit over the birds and a little bit over the edge. And again, you can decide whether you go up on dimensionals or not. I did, so I'm going to just put my finger there. That's the bit we don't want to have dimensionals on, because that's your edge. The good thing about these little tiny ones is that they go right the way down into the balloon, you know, into that bottom piece, which is important because that's the bit which we need to secure to the card. And then we whip these off. At least it stopped raining today. It's been dreadful weather here, really bad. I hope it's been all right where you are. Right, so now we're going to position our balloon just a little over on both sides. Ta-da! And then when you stand it up, you can see that the little balloon pokes out here. So it gives that sense of 3D. Isn't that pretty? So that is my Z fold, oops, above the clouds. Oh, these little things are really annoying. That's my Z fold above the clouds card for you today. We're doing above the clouds all week. Lots of things over on my blog, Facebook, and here on YouTube. So there we go. They're cute. I really like those. And I really like this edition of the bunting, actually. I think that works really well. So there you go. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please subscribe or hit the like button, because that makes a massive difference in terms of YouTube and how many people find me. And I would love to share, you know, what I do with other people. That's part of what I do, why I do what I do. So so yes, hit the like button, hit subscribe, write me a comment, do all of those lovely things for me if you've enjoyed this tutorial. All of these things are available to buy through my online store at the moment, and you can shop with me if you're in the UK, France, Germany, Austria or the Netherlands, and I would be delighted to be your demonstrator. And all the details for all of this are over on my blog post, which is linked in the description below. Alrighty then, so have a great day. Thank you so much again for tuning in to me, Pip Todman from queenpipcards.com. It means a lot to me that you're here, and I will hope to see you again soon. Please subscribe and then you'll know when I'm next online. So yeah, have a great week. Thanks ever so much. Take care. Bye.